Hey, hello everyone. We're just gonna give it a couple minutes because we're about 1 or 2 minutes before 2 Eastern. So we'll give a couple minutes for people to be able to join, and we'll get started. Okay, just check in with the team. Okay. All right. I think we've got a couple people here, a few more coming in. Okay. All right. I think we're gonna keep the chat up here. Okay, so one of the things I do want to say is I'll try to keep looking every once in a while over at the chat to answer questions from time to time. And also we do have some time at the end to answer questions as well. So first of all, welcome everybody to Get Found by AI, a webinar that we specifically focus for remodelers, deck builders, and just general contractors, anyone really in the home services area. And we're talking today about how to get found on AI. So I think we've all heard about this, and you not only now have to get found by Google, you also have to get found by AI. So we're going to talk about that whole progress and what you can do to make sure you get found by AI as well and don't get left behind. So what will we actually cover? The growth of AI. What is AI and why does it matter to remodelers? So we're focusing specifically on that. How to get AI to look at and show your business, because that's what you're worried about at this point. Other future trends in AI that we're going to talk about, and a checklist of, just so you have that whole checklist at the end, what do you do now? And then time for some question and answers. Okay. So one of the things that I want to talk about first is, you've taken time out of your day to come and talk to me or listen to me and talk, hopefully. So why should you listen to me? So I've had over 10 years of experience in the remodeling industry. We've worked with probably way more than 50 at this point, businesses and in remodeling and general contractors, home services, and we've increased our revenue. I'm the author of Stop Wasting Your Money, Remodelers No BS Guide to Digital Marketing that actually works, and that should be released fairly soon, probably late summer. Spoken at industry events, widely accepted as a premier expert in internet marketing for the remodeling industry. We did broader before, but now we really focus on the remodeling industry. Worked with remodeling industries across the United States. So we have not all 50 states, but we have a lot of them. And kind of an interesting fact that's a little bit makes me a little bit different than a lot of the people running marketing agencies that you may talk to is I have actually a doctorate degree in business. I taught finance, marketing, and entrepreneurship for a number of years. Don't want to say how many, that would date myself. And one of the key things is I was the director of an entrepreneur center at the university I worked at. And that's kind of how I got here. So as I started working with the Small Business Administration and students and businesses to try to help them. But they ended up being semester-long projects because it was a university. And so at the end of the semester, a lot of the business owners would come back and say, because one of the things we almost always had to help them with was getting them found on the internet. And so they'd come back and they're like, what you were doing was great, but now we don't know what to do. So I would kind of start helping them, and thus a business was grown. And we were doing a lot of, as I said earlier, a lot of different small businesses, but we thought we could be really good if we knew one industry and one niche really well. So we looked at all of what we had, and the ones that we loved, you also have to love it. The niche that we loved and we were doing well at was remodeling and home services. So that's where we are. And as far as today, what's relevant is that I have been a heavy user of AI for the past 2 years. We've integrated it into many things in our company, many things with some of our clients. And I was literally just at a 2-day mastermind where it was about a lot of marketing too, but I would say 70% of it had to do with AI. So really up and coming, and we're really studying it all the time. Just wanted to show you a few of the companies that we work with across the country. And one of the things I want to say is when I do give information on this or any of my webinars or masterclasses, it comes from experience and from real data, real life things that we've done. So this is all experience that you're going to hear. And just mention our team. So we've got a great team. We have professionals in, that have high degrees in SEO, AI, web development, content writing, and so forth. So just wanted to kind of give a handout to my team because we wouldn't be here without them. And then our mission is to triple the sales of 1,000 remodeling companies, and we're on our way. Okay, so let's get going with the real content here. The growth of AI. Now, makes it a little easy for me because really most of it's been the last 2 years, maybe 3. They did start launching some featured snippets back in 2014. And I believe Siri was first in like 2011. Alexa, I think, was 2014. But ChatGPT was first made available to the public. There were some earlier versions of it, but November 22, when that first came out to the public. And 23 May, Google announced the search generative experiences, AI overviews, which if you don't know what that is, I'm going to show you an example of it in a minute. They started in May of 24, so just a little over a year ago. And we'll see that now about 50% of our searches have AI overviews. So huge move in 1 year. Expanded across 100 countries, and then Gemini 2, which is Google's AI mode, launched, and now you'll see that Google AI mode is available to all users. So if you haven't experienced this yet, when you're searching on Google, you may say, do you want to try our AI mode? And so that's what they're saying. It's rolled out their AI mode at this point. And you can literally say, I want to start in the AI mode, and just tell them that's where you want to start as well. That's a very quick but idea of the growth of AI. So how does it matter to us? So this is what an AI overview looks like. So what I did was I just put in a search, how much is a bathroom remodel? I didn't even put a place or anything else, right? And what came up first was a couple of ads. So if you pay, you can get above it. Then there was a search. I didn't paste the whole thing in here, but it's telling you what the average bathroom, and see these little things here, right? This is telling you where they got that data. And that's our goal, right? We want to get in there. So we want the ones that when they do an AI overview, they're asking us. We're the ones getting showed here, because the ones that are getting shown here answering these questions, if the question was, who's the best bathroom remodeler in XYZ town? If I'm also getting in here, I'm more likely to get answered in there as well. I'm more likely to get shown as an answer there as well. So these are the AI overviews. So in March, back in January, there were only 6.9. In March, there were 13.4 of these coming up in searches, and over 58% by the middle of 25. Okay, so that means every time someone's searching on Google, 58% of the time at this point, they're getting an AI overview. So what does that mean? Well, one thing is people are saying, oh, here's my answer right here. I don't have to look any further. And they're not finding your site. They're not going further down the page. And that's the other thing, right? That now all of the maps, the Google Maps, the organic, your Google business profiles, your organic is all getting pushed further down the page. And we know people have very short attention spans. And so they're getting pushed further down the page. So we need to also be able to say, we're going to show up in these AI overviews as well as organically and in your Google Maps. They're still important. Now, we're going to talk a lot about that, but we also want to be found here, and we don't want to be left behind. And that's what this is about. Also, an important thing, and this, I was actually surprised this was so low, but 25% of users say the AI generated results are more specific than the traditional results. And that was very recently. That was, we got this source was mid to early 25. So my guess is that's going to become more and more. I think a lot of people haven't even seen them yet when this came out. But now that we're getting into 58% of searches being that way, more and more people are seeing them. So people are taking them seriously. So another reason we need to take them seriously. So how should remodelers position themselves, right? With 13% in March, over 50% now by mid 25, being AI driven, we need to optimize our AI visibility, which is what I'm about to show you. But one thing I do want to remember, and this is really important, that your classic SEO, search engine optimization, still remains essential. And right now it's still driving about 99% of the actual site traffic. It's going down and it's changing, but you don't want to all of a sudden, what we're not recommending is abandon SEO and just go AI. And you're going to see a lot of the things overlap as we go through. So if you know a lot of SEO, you'll see that a lot of things are the same. There's just some additional things that we should be doing right now, and then other things we should be watching for. Okay, so we want to, strike that balance between optimizing for AI, but not neglecting our organic rankings. So what's actually AI in reference to how does it matter to remodelers? So in the mid to late 2000s, which we're in mid and it's getting to late, so in the next probably 3 to 5 years, we expect that AI will dominate how homeowners discover remodeling. Okay, if it might be through Alexa or Siri, through voice, it may be through ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, or many of the other AI platforms that are even yet to be heard of at this point. But people are going to search. Now, I'm not sure what you find out there, but if I ask the average consumer that does not sit behind a computer, doesn't have a technical job, most of them still are not searching they still may be using Alexa or Siri, but most of them aren't using ChatGPT yet. But they're very interested. And the few I've shown have said, like, wow, that's really amazing. And then are starting to dabble in it. So more and more that's going to spread. And most of the people that I talk to are a little bit older. So my guess is too, the younger generations even using it even more. So AI isn't in the distant future. It's here now. It's already shaping our business visibility. So in this webinar, we're hoping to show you the strategies and the tools that will help you make your business more discoverable, trusted, and recommended right now to the industry, and things to watch out for and keep watching. And keep watching us and following us, because on our social media, we give daily hints on things to do as they come up. And then we'll also keep doing webinars and masterclasses that will keep you updated as well, or you can reach out to us and we'll keep you updated there. So one of the things we need to understand is what are the search limitations and recommended algorithms that AI is using. So it's not a monolithic system, meaning it doesn't just look in one way, right? And there's multiple platforms, okay? So each platform's gonna have its own approach or recommendations for business. They're all gonna have their different algorithms. They're computer programmed to say, this is how we're gonna find things. But we do know that there's 3 things that they really focus on, okay? Location, relevance, and authority. So we have to really make sure that we are telling everybody where we are. And near me is good, but also using the state, the town, the county, and using it in your conversation. We're going to talk about how you need to use conversational verbiage and using it in long-tailed keywords, not just kitchen remodel Chicago. Right? We're going to talk about more longer-tailed keywords that you need to use. But Google Business Profile is going to be very, very popular, very prominent in helping you here and using the correct terms. Relevance means, did you do what they're looking for? Right? I'm looking for a kitchen remodel. Do you do it? Do you do it where I am? So those are, pretty relevant. Yeah, okay, I do it where you are. The authority is very important. right? Because you're going to get a lot of companies that do kitchen remodeling or bathroom remodels in a town. Now, how are they going to find out what they're going to do best, right? Well, think about, right, how Google became a verb, right? It's really searching on the internet. That's what you're doing, but you're using Google to do it. So it's called Google it now. Because why? Because they're so good at it. And why are we saying good? What does that mean to be good at it? You give the best answers that people can find compared to anywhere else. Right. So when they're looking for a kitchen remodeler, they're getting the best answers they feel from Google right now. And this is what AI is trying to basically be a competitor to them. Are they going to give the best answers? And a lot of these search engines, like Google, have their own AI that's doing this too. So this is where we have to be important. So the next thing they're going to look at is authority, right? Am I recommending a company that not only is in that area and does their service, but are they a trustworthy, an authoritative, and respected company? And one of the ways you can show that, besides local things, local backlinks we're going to talk about as well, but reputable backlinks. And for people that don't know what a backlink is, it's another website somewhere else pointing to yours. So first of all, you want to make sure that other website is reputable, because you don't want a bad website pointing to you. You want one that is also respected by Google. And there are ways to measure this. I won't get into the technical stuff on that, but so what do you mean? And a lot of people are like, what do you mean pointing to? Well, that would mean I'm going to go, say, to a local online magazine, a newspaper, and I'm going to say, hey, can I write an article on the trends in bathroom remodeling in this area? And they might accept it. It gets in there. In that online magazine, there's a link back to your company, written by John Smith of John's Remodeling, and the website's there, right? So not only getting publication and publicity there, but it's also pointing back to your website. Or we go to a remodeler's website again and do that. So those are websites pointing back to yours, and Google's and AI is saying, oh, well, if that newspaper and that remodeler's magazine thinks that they're good enough to put them in their magazines and newspapers, then they must be trustworthy, right? And so those are the ideas we're seeing there. Okay. The other is, how does Google interpret their content? So two main things are structured data and your, oops, let me move that up, natural language processing. So structured data schema, well, schema is one way of doing structured data, and the most common way that we do structured data. So I'm going to show you a picture of it in a minute, so you'll see what that is. But AI won't fully understand what you're doing unless you give the structured data. And you're making it easier for AI and Google to understand what you're doing with schema, structured data. So it's very important. It's one of those things we didn't do that much of 2-3 years ago. Do it everywhere now. So we're going to talk about that. And the other is the natural language processing. So again, a lot of voice-powered searches are coming in. And so we need to answer those. So that means you need to use how to phrase your content is going to be different, which we're going to talk about in blog posts. We need frequently asked questions sections everywhere. We had some frequently asked questions, but not at the bottom of every homepage, every service page, every location page, every blog. Now we do that because we know that's going to help AI. We're going to answer the questions that are being asked on AI, so we're going to be more prominently displayed. Okay. So yeah, like what is the old way people would ask questions? You know, they might just say window blinds near me. Now people might pick up their phone and say, what's the best window treatment for privacy for an older home in XYZ town? Like they might just talk like that on their phone. And so we've got to be ready to answer in that way. So another term that's coming up, not quite sure it's completely adapted yet, but if you go to a lot of seminars on this, you'll hear it a lot, is answer engine optimization versus search engine optimization. Right? So we all know search engine optimization, it's search engines like Google or Bing searching. Answer engine optimization is because that's what AI is looking for, right? They're looking for answers to questions. So what's the main difference? Well, SEO is focused on ranking using your keywords. Also have some long-tailed in there, but keywords like kitchen remodeling in Chicago. And it optimizes for search engines, right? Search engine optimization, right? Where here we're focusing on delivering instant, accurate answers to questions and optimizing those responses for user intent. So it's just a different way, not slight, not keep you like, oh, it's not that different. It's not that different, but it's enough different that we have to pay attention to it if we want to be the ones to be found first. So let's go through. Really, the heart of this conversation is making AI look at your business and recommend you, right? Okay, so what's one thing? You want to be on multiple platforms. AI has looks at mainly a whole bunch of user-generated content. So they're going to look at reviews, testimonials, and social proof. And where are they going to find it, right? They're going to look at Facebook, Google, Yelp, Angie's, Houzz, right? All of these directories and other platforms that we're on. So they're going to look at all of these. So we need to be on multiple platforms. We're going to talk about optimizing those in a little while, but we need to be on them, first of all. And then we need to get reviews and get reviews consistently on all of these platforms. Because before, mostly people went to the Google Business Profile. That's where you go. Some people occasionally went to Yelp, but they didn't go to all of them. They're not going to, and they may go to Facebook. But now AI is going to be able to go out and look at all of these things, right? And then decide who are we going to show first, right? So they're just a little bit above what Google and other search engines used to be. Okay, so we want to get, obviously, we've always wanted to get a lot of reviews that are 5-star on top of that, but we want to get them across the board in different places as well. And we want to get them consistently because the age of the reviews matter too. And so you want to consistently look, depending on what your business is. You know, if you're a plumber, you can get 2 or 3 or 4 a day. If you're a kitchen remodeler, you might only get 2 or 3 a month because depending on your size, you might get more than that. But, you know, want to keep adding reviews, keep it fresh, keep the engagement going. So keep. SEO is still, as we mentioned, fundamental to AI's recommendation. So you want to still make sure you're understanding and following the latest trends of SEO, and you just want to add on what AI is looking for. So one of the things that they're looking on is local. So you want to absolutely make sure that your Google Business Profile, that you have one, number one. And we did, if you go back in our YouTube channel, I think it was just last month, we did how to get and how to optimize a Google Business Profile and keep it, you know, ranking as high as you can. And believe me, they absolutely help. Probably half of the leads we get in when we have social media, the website, and Google Business Profile. I would say about half are the Google Business Profile. So please don't ignore that. And then make sure it's up to date and you're posting it all the time. Your business hours, your address, your phone numbers, all of there. And then you're managing those reviews and answering those reviews. We also are about to do, in the second half of the year, a webinar just on reputation management. So we'll cover that a little bit more, but make sure you answer reviews, good and bad. I'll go into that more in the next webinar. And getting these local backlinks, okay? So join the Chamber of Commerce, join some local business directories, community websites, maybe sponsor a road race or something like that. Those things will really help. I had one company that we helped. Hockey was really big in this town, and they just have a banner across the schedule of the hockey team right on there. And it links back. So they've got a backlink, so it's there, but it's also visible. And I don't know, but I was a hockey mom, and I can't tell you how many times a week I went to that website because I couldn't remember what town I'm supposed to be in, what time the game was, and so forth. So all of the people in that area are constantly going to that website, and they're popping up on top, and they're getting the backlink. So think outside the box. Think of things like that. We help our clients. Actually, we look into it and say, hey, we actually, you know, try to get to know them. What types of things are you into? Are you into hockey or baseball or softball, or is it sports, or is it community involvement? Things like that, to try to get them involved in the community, get these backlinks that will help them get found and be shown as being active in the local community. Okay, so chatbots. This one, I think I mentioned 2 or 3 times, and I always go, let's talk about chatbots. So I bet everybody here has at one point or another gone on a website or on the phone talking to a chat that has been so frustrating that they don't give you the answer and they go round and round in circles and all they want is your email, right? And you just get frustrated. And what do you usually do? Go. I mean, unless you're a customer of theirs, you know, then you kind of have to wait and try to chat with them. But even then, usually they don't work well. So why am I saying that? Is the last thing you want to do is drive people away, right? So when you're using this, make sure, like talk about over here, train. And there's multiple ways. And again, we talked a lot about training in our AI prompts webinar 2 months ago. So again, I encourage you to go back and look at all of those. We had a checklist and I think it was 99 prompts that we gave to people as a handout. And then we did a webinar for about 45 minutes to an hour and just talked to them how to actually use those prompts. Because it's one thing to have prompts, but the other is how to use them. So we can go more into this. I can't go deep into it, or we never finish today's, but it's like anything else, right? They say garbage in, garbage out, right? You've got to feed chat a lot of information. And we talked about it a lot in that last webinar. The more you give them, the better the answers are going to be. So we are training our a chat for our website right now, because I did not want one on there that frustrated anyone because I've been so frustrated with them. And we took everyone from our team, all the questions we've ever been asked, put it all in there with the answers. You can do phone calls. You can take the transcripts from phone calls to put them in there to help and make sure. And now we're going through a training part where, testing, where everyone in our team is going in and asking the chat questions before we bring it public. So it takes a little work, but if you get it working, it's good. But the one thing I really want to talk about here is, right, this human touch and making sure that it is working well and answering the majority of your questions. You're always going to have to add more, because just like us humans, somebody's going to ask us a question. It's like, wow, I've been doing this for 10 years. No one's ever asked me that. It's going to happen to a ChatGPT too, chat box. So, but one thing, look at them, but make sure you get a good one and make sure you train it well. All right. So here's schema. So we talked about schema. So this is what schema looks like. It's behind the scenes. So on your website, what would you see? You'd see your name of your company, your website, your phone number, your address, where you're located, and your hours. That's what you'd see, right? But that's very hard. So it'd be looking in English like this, right? That's very hard for Google bots and for AI to read. This is very easy for them to read. And it gives them really detailed, because it not only tells where they are, any town, California in this example, but it also gives you the exact coordinates. So it can give you more answers than you'd want to put on your website, and you can include that in the schema to tell them even more, them meaning AI or Google or search engines, even more information that would seem silly to the viewer of a website. So can't emphasize how important schema, which is, again, just a subset of structured data, is so important to have on your website. So you've got to speak its language. You've got to make it as easy as possible for them. So find someone. If you can't do it yourself, find someone and make sure you're using schema. Oops. There we go. So another thing we want to look at is keep talking about that answering questions, right? Using bullet points, numbered lists, questions, headings. So this is an example I just took off one of our websites. I think it was the bottom of the kitchen remodel page. And I just opened up the first one. So we show this kind of in what we call an accordion style. So it drops down when you want to know more about it. So it doesn't take as much space up on your website as take all that space, but they're still getting all the words and they're answering all the questions. So, why should I prioritize aesthetics over function? Can I avoid blowing my, how can I avoid blowing my budget during the remodel? Things like that people may ask. So we look at the types of questions people may ask, and we're going to answer those. We're going to say, so kitchen remodeling in general. Then we might talk about kitchen remodeling in a certain town. Then we might have a blog that's talking about the cost of kitchen remodel. And then we'd have different frequently asked questions among that. So it's very important. And even when you do have your blog questions, that it's very, it's longer than just, you don't even put any more cost of average bathroom remodel. You want to say, what's the cost? Because that's how people talk on the phone. They may have typed into Google, so we want to do that as well. But the question, the title, generally we want, what's the average cost? Because that's what people are asking. So really important. We want to have a optimized website for Google and AI. So we're not going to take anything away from what we're doing with Google, but we want to make sure that we also speak its language, right? So amazingly, and I look at, I don't even know how many websites a day I look at, but a lot of websites a day. And when I look at the mobile, because I'm mostly sitting at a computer, but when I do, I always look at a client or a prospective clients on mobile as well. And that's where I usually see the biggest errors. And unfortunately, over 50%, and this is a fact, of people actually search on mobile. So it's really important that you're mobile friendly. What I mean by mobile friendly, you all might be pulling up your websites on your phone right now. Make sure that everything's showing clearly, right? Make sure that the buttons are not too far apart, that someone can hit a button if they want to move somewhere, or they can type in. And there are tools that will tell you that. They'll say, oh, this picture's not showing well, the buttons are too close, there's not enough space to type things in. So we have tools that will tell you that as well. But even just looking will give you an idea to begin with. You might go like, oh, you might be horrified if you looked at it, because lots of times people may not look at it that way. And speed, we all know that people have very little time. They don't have any patience. Generally, they won't wait over 3 seconds. So you need to be able to load. And lots of times I'll show you a tool in a minute, or I'll give you a tool, page speed, and I'll put some of our websites in, it's 100% on desktop, and it might only be 40% on mobile. We're like, well, what's going on? We got to fix that right away. Okay. And then again, you want to optimize for your voice search. So you want to make sure that in your website, in your content, you are using long-tailed keywords, right? So not just kitchen remodel, right? Well, what's the best kitchen remodeler in my area? What's the talk about small kitchen remodels, large kitchen remodels in a newer house, an older house, things like that, right? Think about all the questions. The biggest thing you can do is think about all of the questions that your customers might ask you, and how can we answer all of those? And that's something we do in our monthly meetings with our clients, is ask them, what are the questions you're being asked, so that we want to make sure our website answers all of them. All right. Social media. So you want to use your social media as an AI visibility booster, right? So all these platforms like Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, all of them, they're AI driven, right? And so this is a key for boosting your AI recommendations. So you want to optimize your social media content with these long-tailed keywords and things that we're talking about as well, but you also want to get engagement. So we see a lot of clients or prospective clients coming in, when they come in, that they may have a Facebook page, but they have hardly ever posted in it, and they don't really have engagement. They don't have likes, comments, shares. So that's something that we're really going to look at. Again, it's going to build authority, respect, and trust. And visual content. Now, visual content has always helped the reader, the visitor to your website or your social media. They've always liked that. It always engages them. But it's also helping with AI too. It's very much helping there. And it's a simple thing, but hashtags. Use hashtags. Hashtag kitchen remodeler. Boom. All of a sudden, AI knows how to categorize that. Easy. It might be hashtag kitchen remodeler Dallas, Texas. Okay. Now we not only know what you do, but where you do it. So the hashtags, again, you might go, hashtags. You're making it easier for AI. The easier we make it, right? What was the example? I was talking to someone earlier. I said, well, it's like someone volunteers to come over and say, oh, I'm going to change your light bulb that's way up on your high level of your staircase. And they get there and you don't have a ladder, right? Like, well, someone's here to help. You want to make it as easy as possible. Okay. Oh, well, let me go get your ladder too, right? We want to help AI and Google find us, so that you're going to be like, oh, good. You were easy to find, and you look relevant, and you're in that location, and you look authoritative. Boom, right? We want everything stacked in our corner. Okay. So just summing up our practical action plan. So be on multiple platforms, right? Social media, Google Business Profile, Yelp, so forth. Get reviews consistently and across all of these platforms. You want to make sure you have a Google Business Profile, optimize it, and continually update it. This is going to help your local search. Okay? Structured data and schema. Okay, you want to use schema. You want to use it on your homepage, your location pages, your blog pages, and your service pages, especially. So that's most of the pages, but you want to be using all of these different schema. Absolutely so important. Consider AI chat boxes. I said consider because if you're not going to train it, then I would say don't use it. Make sure it works well. Optimize for voice search. We talked about that. Long-tailed keywords, answer questions, natural language, conversational. Make sure that's in your content. And don't just do it in your newer content. Make sure that it's in all of your content. So you might have to go back and change some of the content you have, which you really should be looking at every year or two anyway. And you should always be updating the main pages, your home page and your service pages. So that's really important. Make sure your website's mobile responsive and loads quickly. And that's just giving you here, Google's Page Speed Insights will give you help on the loading time. Boost social media engagement. Get those likes, shares, comments in there, and optimize your social media for AI. Again, as we talked about before, with natural language. Use hashtags, right? Help AI and Google find you. Use hashtags. And then start building those backlinks, especially the local backlinks and getting reviews. But we kind of talked about that above. But local, the most important backlinks that you can get are local backlinks or relevant. By meaning relevant, we're talking mostly about general contractors here. So in a contracting magazine, in something that has to do with home improvement, even realtor magazine, things like that. Those are going to be relevant, and local is really important. So get in as many local, join your Chamber of Commerce. Most people have like a couple of town Chamber of Commerces in their area, and maybe even like a county Chamber of Commerce or an area Chamber of Commerce, which is usually bigger, which is mean they're going to be generally, not always, but probably more authoritative. So maybe a little more expensive. But even the most with a regional Chamber of Commerce, I find are $200 to $300, and the locals can be $50 to $150. And most of those are annual fees, but for what you're going to get from that local backlink, the traffic that you're going to get, and hopefully the leads and the jobs, it will pay off. So those are things that are already happening that we should be doing right now. What are some trends that are up and coming that really are on the kind of the cutting edge? So one of them is this augmented reality and AI-driven tools. And I do know a lot of the contractors I'm working with do have them that they're using on their own. Not many have them on their websites yet. There are some, but not too many. But and you can bring it out once you get to the client's house. Now you can bring that out and show them, and that's great. But what we're talking about is looking at is, I'm going to go to the next page to show you. So I've done a little bit of research. This is one we're working on right now. That is our recommendation. It's not too expensive, and it seems to do most of the things we're working on. So we're adding this to a couple of websites right now, because you can upload a picture. It is only 2D though. So this one, again, is 3D. Although one of the back things here is it only uses the iPhone scans. So, and there's going to be more and more coming out daily. These are just a few that I wanted to talk to you about. Those are things you can bring onto your website, and we can use these as lead magnets. Would you like to see what your kitchen would look like remodeled, right? And then they can upload a picture, they can make some changes, and then we can even build it into an estimated, not an actual, but a ballpark figure of what this might cost. And we will send this to you once we have your name, email, and address. Right, so it's another lead magnet. So you might think, oh, do I want to spend $200 a month on this? Well, if that $200 a month got you another 10 leads, which would get you another 2 to 3 jobs that are $50,000 to $100,000, yeah, that could be worth it. So it's definitely something that's coming. My guess is that most remodelers will have this within 2 to 3 years. So why not be on the cutting edge? And then the chat boxes. It's probably, again, in 2 to 3 years, not just remodelers, probably every website will have this. We'll find easier ways probably to train it. More people will just get used to it. There'll probably be just more formats, things here that people will do it for you. But definitely it's a trend. It's probably something that's going to be on every website soon. So something you really have to consider. So last one being a little bit more cutting edge, this one being something that is probably going to actually happen soon. So I kind of went through a bunch of things that I've learned at different seminars and been reading across what are the top things to watch for in the future. So we've talked about things you can actually do now, but what are things to watch for in the future? So continued dominance of AI powered search engines. That's going to happen. So we need to optimize, keep watching because it may change. You see Google does their algorithm updates. Sometimes it's monthly, sometimes weekly, right? Well, same thing's going to happen with AI. So we have to keep watching it. This isn't like, okay, I've fixed my website. It's ready for AI. I never have to change anything, right? But anyone who's tried to do SEO for Google and search engines, right? We know that's not true for them. And it's not going to be true for AI summaries or AI in general. So, but make sure we know at least now we can use our schema for those featured snippets. We can get our summaries, our AI-driven summaries in there, and just look for new AI features as they come out. Search engine optimization is probably going to keep growing. Voice search optimization is probably going to keep growing. We've got to keep moving on that. So be careful, just be watching it. Optimize for conversational keywords and natural processing. That's something we already talked about doing, but are there going to be other ways from that? So really keep an eye on that, because that's probably something that's just a given is going to get better. Rise of chat boxes, again, a given that's going to happen. And then the search interactions, which really that augmented reality was part of what I was talking about, because now someone's coming to your website and they're interacting. We're doing a lot of pricing. We're not giving the exact price. We're not giving, but we're giving them ballpark prices for different kitchens or baths that they may be. And we've seen huge moves on that. So, and again, a lot of it is interactive. Well, you've got to tell me, are you going to change the format of your kitchen? Are you going to use high-end or low-end appliances, so forth? And the more that information you can give, now we can send you a estimated ballpark estimate of what this would cost you. Where should we send it? Okay, so that kind of idea again. This personalized context, a lot they talked about at this webinar I was at. It wasn't a webinar, I was actually, I guess I was on Zoom. I didn't go to this one physically. But so we already know, right? When you search, I searched for something yesterday afternoon. I was trying to remember it and I couldn't today, but I looked at it in the afternoon. Later, I'm kind of hanging out watching TV and I looked at Facebook, and 7 out of the top 10 things that came up had to do with what I was searching for that afternoon, right? So retargeting, and they were doing a great job of it. But they didn't really know much else about me. They knew some things, what I'd been searching for. But what they're talking about is a lot of people are really creating these personalized AI bots. So they know a lot about them. And then they'll ask that, knowing what you know about me, can you find me a kitchen remodeler? Right? That's a whole new ballgame in there. So now they're like, oh, well, it may come down to things like, okay, well, these are in your location, they're relevant, they're authoritative. And then it might be like, you've talked about all the marathons you've run, and this remodeler happened to sponsor a road race. Right. And you might also want to know that XYZ remodeler also sponsored your local road race. Boom, you might decide to call them because of that. But we're not close to that. And it'll be a while before people do or trust creating these bots, but it could be something to watch for. Image and video search. So we already know images and videos are showing up more and more. Google is not very good at reading images. So that's why we use alt text. Right? So all of your pictures and things should have alt text to tell Google what's in that picture, because they can't see it. AI is better at seeing it. So the other thing we can do to tell them is schema. So schema has not been used a lot for pictures, but it is starting to be, and it especially will start to be used for videos. And we're going to talk about some other aspects of showing up in videos as well. But this is going to keep changing, so watch it. Google Maps and your Google Business Profile, they're going to keep incorporating more and more AI features, probably AI generated reviews, probably some content. Well, we talked a little bit about content. We'll talk about it in a second too, and hyper local results. So keep watching it. So when they offer it, look at it. Is there something that we can take advantage of? Okay. AI-driven content. So in our webinar, we talked a lot about this 2 months ago. So go back and look at that if you want to look at how to create AI-driven content. But one of the things I completely want to warn you about with AI-driven content is lots of times it still sounds AI. right? It doesn't sound like a human. So that's one thing. Take it. They can give you a start. You get writer's block. I don't know what to write. I'm so tired about writing about kitchen remodels. I don't know what to do. Believe me, a lot of my writers say that. So it can get you over that hump. Here's a topic, here's an idea, but then make sure that it's one thing, it's user friendly. So it's answering the questions. It's written by a human. And the third, very most important, well, they're all important, but make sure that you fact check anything that comes out. I can't tell you the number of times I have found things that, and even in the prompts now, I'll be like, make sure it's factual. Don't come up with any what ifs, scenarios, or this could be what would happen. No, we want it factual. That's usually in our prompts now to begin with. But even then, I will still find mistakes. I would say a year ago, I'd find 10 mistakes a day. Now I may only find 1 or 2, but there's still things, and you don't want to be embarrassed by putting content on there that isn't simply not true, and having people say that is going to hurt your reputation. And probably the same AI people that gave it to you are going to find out it's not real. So really be careful on that. So with videos, because there's more and more of them, things that will help is captions, video descriptions, metadata, so meta descriptions also, and AI-powered transcripts. So these are things that are going to help tell AI and read and schema, right? They're going to tell them what's in that video so that they can quickly decide if that's something that's making you, adding to your reputation, your trustworthiness and authority or not. There's going to be more and more emphasis on AI-driven reputation management. We'll talk about that a little bit more in the reputation management talk, but the biggest thing about it is AI is going to be able to analyze across many different platforms. And so I think before, people were like, oh, they're only looking at my Google, that's good. So I had a couple of bad ones on Yelp or House or something, and they're not worried about it. But we may have to at this point. So you want to make sure, and Google's going to think it's more authoritative, not Google, AI, because Google's really looking at Google. AI is going to think it's more authoritative if you're doing it on many platforms. Where was I? And AI as a long-term strategy tool, SEO strategy tool, I'm sorry. So we can use these AI tools now to do so many things. I was blown away at this meeting yesterday from AI and all of the things that people are doing in their companies. And that's probably one I'd like to work into, because our other AI prompt was just on prompts alone, but this was more on also creating ChatGPTs that could actually do things for you. So there's one that could go in and literally, it was so simple to set up. And then you took the pictures, and as you uploaded them to Google Drive, it categorized them. So, most remodelers I know have so many pictures, and then they're looking for a picture to put in a new blog article or something. And they're like, I need a picture of a walk-in shower. You got to go searching through your pictures. If I used that one before, well, this one will categorize it. You just have to say, built walk-in shower have not used on any other platform in the last year, and they'll pop up for you. That was amazing. Things that like SOPs, we have hundreds and hundreds of SOPs on how to do things, but this would take them all. You'd load it into the ChatGPT, and then you could just go in and say, okay, where would I find the letter to send to new clients that we're onboarding? Oh, you'd find it here. Where would you? So it's like the time that these can save. So I think the next thing we'll start to do is try to teach business owners how, give them ChatGPTs that we've written, but then that's cool, that's great, but then give you the information on how to customize them for you, which makes it even more important. So huge things there, and we can use them for competitor analysis, predicting the future. Again, just be careful about the data that comes out and check it, but it can save huge amounts of time. So takeaways, hopefully, that you've gotten from this is that AI, and it probably wouldn't be here if you didn't believe this, but AI obviously isn't a passing trend. It isn't going away. It's in fact just growing and growing every single day. I could go on and on about all the articles and seminars and things that I've attended on AI and all of the different ideas of where this is going to go. But it's here. And if we want to get found as remodelers on the internet, then we can't ignore it. And if you do, you're going to fall behind. You may be found on the top of Google right now, but if you don't stay ahead with AI, you're not going to be the top anymore. Okay, because there's going to be different ways to search. So we need to basically, right, adapt our SEO strategies. So we still want to use those, but to embrace our AI-powered tools. That's going to be really key. You want to do that for content, for your local search, reputation management, across the board. So I think that's about it. I don't, looking in the chat, and I don't see any questions at this point. So one things that I want to just remind you of is, because some of you may, I know, are busy during the day and you may be watching this as a replay, so you can find them again on YouTube at Remodelers Marketing Crew 24, and you'll see all of our past webinars and masterclasses as well, and short videos that we've done there as well. Some of these videos may have handouts and things because they were a video. They obviously don't have the handout in them. So you can just go to Remodelers Marketing Crew and request it. You can go to my email, Shannon at Remodelers, has an S in there, marketingcrew.com, and ask me, and I'll get you anything that you needed from a past webinar, or we just have checklists that are available on our website. Or you can schedule an appointment with me and we can take it your website and we can do a full audit, both for SEO and for AI. So one of the things you want to do is go into ChatGPT, and I suggest you use ChatGPT 4.0. The others that are there is a 4.1 and there's a 4.5, but they're more in the beta stage. So I would stick with the 4.0, and that was highly recommended in my mastermind yesterday as well. And look yourself up. I would say, hey, what are the best kitchen remodelers in my town? Whatever that town is, right, or in my city, and see what comes up. And then you can also, if you do come up, which is great, you can actually say, and why did you recommend Joe's Remodeling? Or if it doesn't come up, why didn't you? And it will give you some insights there as well. Once you start using ChatGPT, like, it is always open. I use Perplexity, ChatGPT, Claude. I use them for different things. Again, I went into more of that in my webinar 2 months ago, so you can go back and look at it, about why you would choose different ones. And they're for different reasons that you might choose different things. But once you start using it, I actually have a little sticky note, which I don't think you guys can see my sticky note, but it says, how can AI help me do this? And then it goes through the prompts, a tight little, you can do it, content, role, interview, task, which is CRIT for short. And I went through that whole thing in that seminar 2 months ago. So please look at that if you want to learn more about the prompts. And I do think that we'll be, in the future, also giving you ideas of how you can use AI to in your operations of your business. That's another goal of ours as well. Okay, then I haven't seen any other questions come up, so we'll end it today, and I hope to see you in the future. And really, do not hesitate if you want to talk to us. Schedule here, reach out to me, and an email, go to our website, and we'll be free. It's a free hour with us that we will go through your website or any other Google Business Profile, social media, all of it, some of it. And what we do is tell you where you're doing great and where you might use some improvement. And one thing I've never heard, not every person decides to work with us, which is totally fine. But one thing I've always heard is that never has anyone walked away and said that was a wasted hour. They always gain something from it. They're always going to learn. It's always going to make them grow in some way. So I really encourage you to take advantage and come and talk to us. All right. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.